Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight on DentonRadio.com. My name is Kine Beats, and we are broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the surprisingly cool Denton Square right now during the heat of the summer. And I think there's a reason that it's cool, because the coolest cat to come back to Denton in some time is here. This is the man, the myth, the legend. Y'all know him as Sanford Black.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
Hey, guys.
Good to see you, man.
Glad
Good to see
here.
you.
I always bring cool breezes with me if I
That's
can.
what I literally thought that today at work. I said he brought this from Indiana. I woke up at 6 a.m. when the thunder was erupting, and I said, Sanford.
That's when I got on the plane.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but happy to have you here. Happy to have you back.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be chilling.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of dive right in.
Sure.
Of course, we talked plenty about music before we got into the show.
We always do.
That's the way it goes, you know.
Indeed.
But we're gonna talk all different kinds of stuff tonight. We didn't really set any grounds.
Yeah.
We actually just had a very successful show last night.
Sure did. Oh man, it was a blast.
So Foliage
so excited.
Volume 1 from, I guess you could say, the joint record label, if you will. Sanford's got a couple tracks on there. I've got some tracks on there. Lofty Beats, a lot of the other people that you've seen, Breezomatic, MRC, almost everybody's been on this show, actually, that was on that album, including besides Mosavito, actually.
Well, it's his turn then, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, we gotta get him out here. But that was super fun. So let me ask you real quick. We'll just kind of dive into that. What were some of your favorite moments from last night?
Oh man. The atmosphere, of course, was something just next level interesting. I was exclaiming to people that I've never experienced anything like that, and I don't think anybody present had really experienced something quite like that. Not that it was the most grandiose or extravagant thing, but it was definitely unique in its way. That we had a goal in mind, make this look like a jungle, and it was very successful with that live foliage, all that bamboo, taking over down there, and I think people were really impressed by the thing, and it was just kind of weird enough and strange enough, and like why enough to really pass, and a lot of people stuck around. We had a good crowd for a while.
The whole time.
They always kind of peter out, but there was the core group that were really into it.
People got to go up and get water, and that's the thing, is that line was so long. Yeah. Because Lee came back down, and he was like, "I would have been down here. It took me 15 minutes, to place an order, And so, even G came down, character, and he was like, "This is one of the busiest nights we've had in a long time, if not one of our busiest Mondays."
Yeah. So turnout and people's expression of the interest in the show was one of the best parts. And then just having all the homies out and being home, of course, and I was elevated, excited about just being there and everybody doing it. And everybody had great sets. There were no mistakes, there was no trouble.
Yeah.
We were on time the whole time.
Yep.
I think I don't know, we lost a minute. We were like a minute behind at the very ends of the sets, but everybody was at the 20 mark.
Yeah, it was like right at the 20. So
I did a quick calculation before I did the set. It was like, this is about 20 minutes. It's fine.
I knew that if I made it to 20 minutes with my set, that I was doing good,
That's the thing. You have a set time, and you just got to meet it. And I think everybody did, and that was really cool. Glad that
definitely
happened.
And that was the thing, too, is like when the idea of how we were going to decorate it all came to mind, like I had some more kind of grandiose ideas, but and then as things got closer, I had to kind of realize, like, what are we really capable of here? And and we didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to make it too outlandish, anyways. And so, just like you said, I felt like it was just weird enough, not too weird, And with that bamboo wrapping around like that, and I love that it actually got to a point where it's so crowded that people like the only way to get out is to just walk through the bamboo.
Oh, we cleared a few paths. Just people
we had to.
Were kind of struggling.
We had to, but
there was a choke point at the end of the corridor.
Yeah.
Where people just kind of stopped there, and then we couldn't get back in.
Yeah, they wouldn't come in and go around because they wanted to be close, but that's what was great is people were so close to begin. Everybody wanted to be close. Yeah. So, that was it was a definite success.
I think it would be cool in the future to have, instead of just winding, you come downstairs through the velvet cape and then left and then right along the wall, if you just kind of snake it for a few feet.
We thought about that.
Go through a corridor
that was
quickly so you could spill out into kind of an open area.
That was the thing that went in my mind, but what I didn't know how much bamboo we were really going to need. Yeah. And so I thought I would use that one of the walls as like a way to make it so that we didn't have to cut down as much.
Yeah, and I don't even mean to critique. It was,
no,
because
that's
totally
originally what
successful.
I had in mind,
Yeah.
was to have this kind of weave, and then it would come out here. But when I started, and my mind has done this since I was a kid. Like, I'd always have these big grandiose project ideas, and the closer it got, I'd have to be like, okay, dwindle that down and make it simpler.
That was something I brought up in the planning phase for this thing, like that first initial meeting, and then try to keep bringing it up after. But like, we were throwing all these ideas down to start, and it was getting kind of ridiculous. And I got to thinking, like, are we actually going to execute on these ideas? Like, is this something you're willing and capable of doing? And if not, we don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Be real. Like, is that going to work? And if not, like, just do something else. Like, we got to do what works. And I think that this was that in action.
Yeah, for sure.
You did exactly what needed to be done to just get it done.
Oh my gosh! And I'll tell you what, cutting down that bamboo, I sent
I
sent a video to Breezomatic earlier that said like round 2 with me zooming in on the bamboo, because although it was fun to get out there, it's that there's something about those plants just like made my skin just, and maybe it was hot and stuff. But
they were seeding you.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Bamboo it proliferates faster than grass. This stuff's invasive.
So it was it's all over, and that's what I mean. Like, we took so much. I mean, like, we had. Did I show you the picture of the dumpster afterwards? I mean, did
I
you
saw
see
it. I
it?
was
Okay,
out there, yeah.
y'all
go, people out there, good people of Denton, go.
You can still drive by.
Go down to Pecan Street on the north side of the square and just check out that dumpster full of bamboo. I believe that most of you have probably never seen a dumpster full of bamboo. And maybe it doesn't seem like that interesting a thing, but you'd be surprised. Go do that for yourself.
Most people had never seen a dumpster full or a van full of bamboo.
Yeah.
Because when me and Breezy were driving, I was scooched all the way up to the point where I was like this on the van. And so there was stuff sticking out the back, and it was we literally, what we did is we put the bamboo in there, and then we measured where it would fit in the van, and then we just cut it off right
nice,
there.
That's smart.
And
what up, Dom?
Hey.
Hey, Ellie.
Yeah, and then we just threw those extra pieces on top because they were the thicker, heavier bottoms to kind of like push the rest down. But that is something that I'm glad that we did, but I will never want to cut down that much bamboo again. It was because you haven't even seen the house, dude. Like those some of those I had cut, a good 3 feet off of, and they were as tall as the basement, and so. That worked out nicely.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
You had a fantastic set.
Thank you.
What set like stands out in your mind? I mean, of course we can say everybody.
Yeah.
But which one were you like?
Definitely Breezomatic. Man, that whole block, like from Breezy through Mercy to Lofty and your set, and then YSA, like that whole last half was just killer. First half was excellent as well. I think I was bouncing around a lot. Maybe I missed some of those dudes' sets, and I love you guys, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My parents were there. It was a big visitation set. I think that's when I actually kind of tuned in, was when Breezy played. And the energy just seemed to go way up at that point. And
yeah, and bless Mercy and Amanda. I mean, they always bring a great crowd, and their friends are awesome, and they come out and they support a lot. And I took a video, of me walking kind of through with Breezy right there and film, and he's grooving.
Oh man, he was I was behind him,
feeling it, and the fun between him and Mercy, Mercy, whatever you want to call him, that back and forth. I told him, I said, look, Amanda was louder than everybody else. That's why Breezy won. I said, if you had somebody else that could have compete with that, then
I was trying to. I was on the other side. I was on Mercy's side. And so I was trying to like counterbalance the volume.
Oh
so, I heard her yelling for Breezy, so I was like trying to match for Mercy.
Yeah. It was super close. That's why we literally, when we did it the first time, we all looked at each other kind of like that was extremely similar.
Can't tell.
And so then Amanda screamed louder the second time.
I figured you'd make an executive decision because I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I would have just like keep screaming for him until something happens. I don't know.
And I had to. I didn't like it. I didn't like making that decision, but
That's okay.
You got to make decisions.
I kept exclaiming too, like during both of their sets. It's like they made each other too powerful.
Yeah.
All this competition and this trying to compete and battle just made them really powerful. So they're like, they've been in their hyperbolic time chambers.
Definitely.
They got the skills. They figured out Super Saiyan 6.
And Breezy just had some hilarious promotion for it, too, on Instagram with the boxing gloves. Like, he's playing his Rhodes piano with the boxing gloves on.
That. That's great.
That one was incredible. And then you just see a hand come out of nowhere and, like, squirt water in his mouth, you know, and he's just still going after it. He was
that needs to continue. I was thinking about today. I need to talk to you about this. I have witnesses. We need to do sample flip battles, you and me.
Oh, okay. Where
So,
we
like,
will take our samples.
We need to throw ourselves in the ring. But since they're doing this, I think you and I need
the
to
sample
compete.
challenge, huh?
And I think that'll help me get more comfortable with chopping samples again.
Yeah.
And you're already kind of master at it, so consider me the challenger.
Yeah.
And I'm coming for you.
I had, a lot of that stuff last night is kind of like where when I first start making a beat, when I get that 4-bar pattern down, I automatically copy and paste the drums that I'm using and that sample into that set.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have now like 10 tracks in there. Some of them I've never made beats out of. I just really like the loops, and that's really all that it's needed for, because that 1 minute, minute and a half is really all it's needed.
Make interludes out of them or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Give the album some flavor.
Yeah, for sure. But that's something that I've been working on for a month, month and a half, is continuously sitting down and doing that, and trying to get better at, doing a little bit more when I was on stage, just because.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah.
But we need to draft up some good copy and some good promo for it, and then actually a format, and then get to work.
Yeah, we can come up with something on that.
Man, it should be
I
easy. And that's some good distance stuff we can do.
Yeah.
Maybe internet based.
And so now that you've come back to Denton, and I honestly, man, I'm not even sure we've been gone 2-3 months.
3 months now.
3 months, 3 months, 90 days.
Yeah.
So how, we kind of talked before the show, and you said you hit a bit of a creative wall, with the move at times, but did you, how did you kind of how has your creativity changed, I guess, is my question.
That is a good question, because it has. When I moved up there, we got a really nice place, 2-bedroom, so I got my own room for an art studio.
I saw there was one of those things on the wall, a thermostat. That was amazing.
Yeah, we got one of those. We got central air and heating for the first time in 3 years.
It honestly didn't feel right, though. I was like, that's not right.
No, it's really nice. I love it. It's great. Central air. It's wild.
Yeah.
Got a full-size kitchen. It's wonderful. But I got my own room. I used, put up all of my art stuff in there, set it up as a studio, and got to work. And I was making a lot of collage, and I was doing some paintings, and I was really trying to hit the ground running until I hit a wall. And I just felt kind of empty of that creative drive that had pushed me in the past, and I felt like I wasn't doing honest work, and I wasn't motivated to continue. And I was also somewhat afraid. I'd gotten to a point with one painting that was going really well, but I just I lost touch with it, And then the same thing happened to the music. Like before I moved, I was writing songs, and they were coming out great. Some of my best work, I believe. A lot of the stuff I played last night was all that new stuff that came up in the last few months before the move.
Yeah.
Some of it in the weeks coming up to the move.
Yeah.
Thinking about the homies writing songs. And so that had kind of drained. And a lot of it, I think, was kind of a level of depression from moving and being kind of disengaged from my former life, real quickly.
Yeah,
and suddenly,
for sure.
and I didn't take it very well, and didn't have that same support system that I had. Maybe if I was having a rough creative day, I could head over to the Monk and have a chat with some people and get a fresh perspective, or at least loosen up enough to not feel so bad about it. And then once my mind is relaxed and not frustrated by my lack of progress, go back and try again. But without that kind of support,
it can be difficult.
It was difficult. So I hit a wall, and it took it hard, and was struggling for a little bit until it's I need to. There's more to do. I still have work to do. We had foliage coming up. I wanted to have fresh visuals for that, and I wanted y'all to have great visual showing for that with the posters that I worked on and everything.
Yeah.
So that became important, and I started focusing on that, which reminded me that I had for a long time before I actually started doing video, been wanting to. So I started working on other projects for that. I wrote the one beat I've written in Indianapolis. It's called Seek for Dope. It's on my SoundCloud. Check that out. It's good. But I made a video for it. Took did a minute-long loop as Instagram allows, and I cut the song to loop over a minute, and then fit a video to it just because I'd never done that before.
Yeah.
And I think it turned out really cool. And
Nice.
it gave me, and it's just more experience leveling up the medium.
So is it kind of like maybe the not having, you know, you reaching out on social media because you can't do it, you know, in your own backyard. So it's like, okay, cool. I can't like go up there to get the motivation. So maybe I just try to do something different that I've never done before.
So I tried to
on a different medium.
Try to get that same kind of flavor from social media at the start.
Yeah.
When I was still working on the visual art before I hit the wall with it. So I was posting stuff on Instagram every day, like all the progress I was making, and I was getting a lot of response, and it felt good until it didn't feel good anymore. It felt like I was only working for the attention and likes and all that from the internet instead of just working because it's, you know, it's a valuable thing to me.
Yeah.
And it needed to be done. So the work started to feel empty because I was just trying to show up on the internet, and I don't want that. I want to show my actual progress on the internet. I just don't want to show up for the internet.
Yeah.
I don't want to be working to show people that I'm working. I want to be working for something grander.
Yeah. Even kind of like we talked about also before the show is, you know, you might know certain people with really, really big followings and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, they're still right there with the homies and with the people who just do it, you know? So the social media stuff, you know, it's not always going to satisfy as much as really doing it.
I think it's kind of an impossible goal to try to find satisfaction from social media because people are insatiable because there's so many of them and you don't know any of them. And if you're only gauging the quality of your work by how many followers and likes you get, then it's like you're only working for this invisible everybody.
Yeah.
And not for self-exploration in creativity. Plus, they're insatiable. They're never going to be satisfied. You have to continuously create content to stay relevant, as they say.
Yep.
But, you know, for what? People aren't necessarily going to forget about you if you don't post a piece of art in a week.
Yeah.
You post some quality piece of art. If it's due an impact, then it'll have an impact.
There's, you know, and you say that too. I mean, there's artists who I know, like one of the best examples. So there was a guy who went by the name of Knit Grit.
Okay.
And he was kind of like right when dubstep started to really go big, he wasn't, you know, like a Skrillex or anything like that. He made a bit more melodic type stuff, you know, really cool synth stuff and some bass here and there, but it wasn't the pop kind of you know, like all that kind of stuff. And I kind of wondered, like, where did this guy go? You know, like, what happened? And so I looked it up the other day. He's still doing his thing up in the Northwest, Washington, Portland, Northern California. He goes all around those areas and plays. And so it's kind of like, I didn't forget about him just because I haven't seen him post in a while. But that's the thing is, like, he was part of this thing that blew up. And you know, he's still got those followers. He still has those numbers, but at the same time, he's able to do what he wants to do and doesn't have to worry about what the industry is going to tell him.
And that's
to do.
fantastic because at the end of the day, if he's still able to work and do the thing that he wants to do to make a living and be fulfilled, I hope he's fulfilled. I'm sure if he's doing all that, he's got some level of satisfaction with it.
And to be true to like my own, is the reason I know about him is because it was popular.
Right.
I didn't seek out this music because like I one day went to a late night club on my own just deciding maybe this will be cool. Yeah. No, it became popular, and so he popped up on a reshare from somewhere or something.
So that's what I'm saying is like all those. I don't trust the populace. The masses don't really have a good idea of what quality is all the time. Not to say they always miss, but they don't always hit. Yeah, that's why we get things like the Macarena that won't go away. Friends won't go away. There's a whole bunch of things that were extremely popular but are very bad. So I don't think the popular consensus is the best way to gauge quality. Yeah. So in the case of Knit Grit, you know, maybe blew up, but all of those people were like, yeah, I like this because it's popular. Yeah. But they will forget about it because it doesn't really mean anything to them. And so if we can't trust the masses to actually their engagement with something that is big to actually improve the quality of it, then we don't need to listen to them.
You know, like and like you were saying too, it's not just doing stuff on social media in order to feel relevant. Right. You know, and that's something that I think you see a difference too. Is I saw another dude a while back who was like, I love making the music that I make. He went by Figure. He was like, but now all of a sudden this like festival trap stuff is super popular. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. And so
that's the same thing that killed dubstep, is that so many, it was so popular because it had this signature sound, but then everybody was just making that signature sound, and so we didn't get any innovation in the genre. They just kept doing the same thing with the same sounds, the same drums.
What do you think changed? Okay, so let's say you have or what made people so attracted? Okay, so you have like your more chill side of stuff, like we were talking before the show about, the instrumental hip hop, a lot of electronic dance music. EDM was electronic. Why do you think like one kind of caught on more than the other?
It's about the energy and the environment in which you kind of imbibe that. I'm not going into EDC and playing a set and people going nuts for a average 90 BPM mostly hip hop set. They're not going to be losing their minds, and it's not going to be that revelatory drug experience that these other kinds of music have. So there's not that grand emotional response or even visceral response in those environments. But it's different for me. Like I don't need that experience for satisfaction. I'm not that kind of person, and I want to be someone of ambassador to the chillness, the cool boys, the chill boys and girls out there, like people who just like, I don't want to bounce around for 3 hours and sweat and do drugs and run into people, and that's great to somebody, I'm sure. And I don't mean to bash that stuff at all.
No,
it's just
for sure. It's
not
just
for me. I mean, I want to sit and chill and have a conversation with some good stuff in the background. Like,
look, if you're gonna get mad at Sanford for his answers, you got to get mad at me for asking the questions. Okay?
No, like y'all go out and enjoy yourselves at the
have fun with your pretty lights.
Your Burning Mans and your pretty lights. And,
and
go nuts. It's just not for me. And like I said, I want to be the ambassador to the chill heads. Like, and I'm glad that music has kind of come around in a lot of people.
And we talked last night, too, about how Madlib will just make, like, all of a sudden Madlib's getting credit. And so why do you think now, like, beat music's on the rise? Even Netflix came out with a show called Beats, or a movie. Yeah. It's just called Beats. About a kid making beats. This wasn't about a rapper. This was about a producer. Yeah. So why do you think all of a sudden now we're starting to see a bigger light shed on producers, not just underground, but, in bigger hip hop and the new rap scene?
Yeah. Well, I like to think, I think I was telling you last night, I've been saying this for many years, but, as a fan and lover of hip hop, I was always really disappointed that that production was not included in the elements of hip hop. The elements of hip hop was DJing, breaking, rapping, and graffiti. It was like, you've always had beats being made for rap. Like, sometimes the DJ did that, but sometimes they didn't. Like, the Tribe Called Quest, Ali Shaheed Muhammad was the DJ. Q-Tip made the beats for the most part. Yeah. Pete Rock did some, Jay Dilla did some. But it wasn't the DJ making the beats. So, like, why isn't beat production, beat making part of the elements? It's always been there, and it's vital to the whole thing. But it didn't get the shine it did. And so...
Well, the question was that why is it now getting that shine?
Okay, so
we're seeing this rise.
I was on it.
Of a very underground scene.
So I think, for one, technology has caught up with the kind of demand and population and popularity of production. So like I think the SoundCloud really set things off for a lot of people because they were able to get their stuff out. I think access to music technology has gone up a lot. I mean, you can buy a totally suitable and usable MIDI controller for under $100. Most people already have a computer of some sort, and if you don't, you can get one for pretty cheap. Software is on the internet, so you can pay for it or not or whatever. Just go get you
finance.
There's all sorts of stuff out there. Go get it. Go to Zounds and finance some stuff. Pay for it monthly. And
shout outs.
Shouts out to Zounds.com. Give me that sponsorship. I believe in what y'all are doing.
Y'all give me that 12-month financing.
So access to technology, ease of being able to release your music. Spotify's door is kind of wide open, which is we'll see how that goes. But I'm happy it happened, and I hope to see a lot of quality stuff. And you're gonna have to sort through some whatever stuff. But and so broadly, it's I think those factors have contributed, and then I hope that's why I guess I brought up the element of hip hop thing with production. Is like I think that people are starting to see that computer music is still music, and that the computer is an instrument in its own right because it's totally capable of doing all sorts of things, and that's great. You know, we don't need to do it in the traditional way. We have the expanded technology available to us that helps us do it another way.
Yeah,
People ask me if I'm a musician all the time, and I was like, yeah. And they say, what do you play? And I was like, I play the computer. The computer has always been my instrument of choice. It makes a lot of sense to me. And then everything you put into it, and you can put anything into it. Yeah. That's the beauty of that instrument, is that you can put other instruments in it. Yeah. Then there's an infinite number of ways, and it's only up to you and your noggin to figure it out.
And even Jim Morrison saw that. There's that interview with him of him talking where they ask him, where do you see music going? Like, he was like, I see one man with a bunch of tapes and loops and buttons. Like, it's right there of him talking about this. And so even if you were talking to somebody who had no idea about, you know, how this music is made, let's say they love rock and roll. It's like, well, man, one of the most iconic rock bands, you know, most iconic bands in, you know, American rock literally said this was going to happen, you know? Yeah. So you kind of, and I
think too, rock music hasn't been terribly popular or relevant for a very long time. You don't have, there hasn't been like a new wave of a sound in rock music for a long time. Yeah. And, I think that's, you have to have 4 or 5 guys to even get started. Because I mean, there's nobody. There's I don't want to say nobody, but I want to say that there's not every member of a band can't play each other's instruments all the time. You need a drummer because he can play drums. Guitar player can't play drums. He can play guitar. Yeah. Sometimes he can play bass too, but like you need a bass player too because he can't play both at the same time. And so you need 4 or 5 guys to have a band, but you need yourself to become a producer and to make your own music, and you still have to write all those parts, so it's a lot to think about still. You got to be a drummer, and you got to be a bass player, and you got to do all this stuff yourself. You don't get the benefit of having other people there, but you don't have to logistically carry 5 guys all around on a van. If you need to do a tour as a DJ, you just go.
Yep. I used to tell people too, they'd be like, how do you get gigs? And I was like, well, here's the thing is, you know, what people are looking for is to be entertained. What venues are looking for is an entertainer. Yeah. So if a venue can pay me set amount of dollars for 3 hours compared to the set amount of dollars for a 5-piece band for 3 hours and still get the same satisfaction from the crowd and the people and all that stuff, they're going to go with the one that's a bit more cost effective for them. It's just the way that it's going to happen.
I heard a friend of mine's feelings a year or so ago. Shouts out to Cyrus. He asked me, he's a rock and roll guy in his 40s, still active, got a couple bands that he plays, and they play a lot in Fort Worth. He came into the Monk sometime last year and asked me how everything was going, how the DJing was going. I was like, man, it's great. I play a few shows a week, get paid. I was telling him at one gig I guess when we were doing LSA, I was telling him about it. I was like, yeah, we get X amount of money and a beer and a meal, and it's wonderful. It's easy and it's great. And he just kind of sunk and looked at me like, I do shows in Fort Worth, and I'm lucky if I get a beer. We certainly don't get paid or taken care of or even acknowledged by the staff. And I was like, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. You should be a DJ. It's great work.
And that's something that I wonder, too, is that, you know, could it just be, you know, there's this idea of, like, when you do perform and stuff, like, for me, it's like, man, I guess, like, I played I played free shows, and I did all that stuff, and I'll still do it now. You know, I still do for charities or friends or birthdays or whatever. But I feel like there gets to a point where even when you're playing for free, there's a certain level of professionalism that comes with going. And I think here that we've had some cats like Zach Walker down at Backyard who really stepped up his booking in that place as well. If you haven't been back and seen like how they've moved some things around, it's gorgeous. You have people like Alex Moon at Harvest House who are putting great stuff together. Homie. You know, you have people like G over, you know, at J&J's. You have people like Regina. Regina's actually going to have a show tonight at J&J's. Cool. But you know, there's a lot of people out there who, even if you're a local guy, will have a cool Zach, sound guy over at Harvest House, will have a cooler of water on the stage for you. A cooler.
Oh, they always take.
And so also that's what I think when you live in a town like Denton and you get treated with respect, even though you live 5 minutes away and you talk with each other on a daily basis and you're no one's idolizing you or anything of that sort, they still treat you nicely. And so that's what you start to expect.
But you got to put it in too, you know. I've always been real serious about maintaining a professional air,
which we did.
Like showing up on early, on time is early. Yep. Setting your stuff up, not being a pain, not being rude, please and thank you.
Yeah.
Showing appreciation because it's genuine. And
Start a tab, use your drink tickets, then close out at the end of the night.
oh, that's a good. I didn't know about that.
And I do that one. Bartenders love it.
Oh, cool.
Use the first, open it up on the first one, use them on your second two, because then they know you're not a total cheapskate, and then close it out, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Leave that beautiful little number on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't think about that.
But that's just been my experience.
No,
is
that's
like
good, though.
living up here. I've played in other places. I've played in other cities now, and this is the place where I've been treated the best. As far as when and these people all know Taylor Higginbotham, my BBs. That's
What's
the
up,
thing is we
Taylor?
can actually see who's talking to us.
I love
it
it.
says Aunt Melissa.
Who is Aunt Melissa?
I don't know. Maybe that's his aunt.
My BBs.
I don't know. But
I'll talk
it's
to you about
okay.
that later, Taylor. I
Yeah.
don't understand this one. I don't always understand your bits, man.
Yeah, you never know it. You never know it. This guy, he's wild on it.
I'll see you tonight.
So
I'm going
man, we're
shout out to the Brave Boys.
Yeah, exactly. The Brave Boys gonna be going on. When do they start tonight?
9:30.
Are they at Dan's again?
No,
They're
they're at Andy's.
They're at
They've
Andy's.
been at
Okay,
Andy's,
cool. Oh yeah, they just kind of like moved for like a week or something like that. I think they were doing something at Andy's they actually went to Dan's for a little bit and did a few from Dan's, and now I think they're back up at Andy's.
Oh, okay. I've been gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, dude. Like you said, some things have just changed in
Yeah.
stature.
True.
But you said you played some music last night that was new.
Yeah.
Definitely recognized it. One of my favorite things about your sets is your ability to elongate loops and to kind of create an atmosphere. And I think that's what a lot of people really enjoyed last night, is why you get some whoop whoop, like hoops and hollers, even though there's no beats going on per se, is because you create tones and textures and then you drop it into your beats in the Sanford Black way.
I was becoming afraid of getting like samey with my compositions, and like doing like an 8-measure intro and then 8-measure first phrase, 8-measure second phrase, back to the first one, maybe change it up in the third, and then 8-measure outro. And it's like, I don't need it. Didn't need to be strictly formatted in such a way. So I started to, once I saw that I had a lot of tracks that were kind of set up that way, I started to kind of break them down, do different stuff in those same areas, and then just kind of create interesting, different things going on in each little part of the song. And so I like pretty simple unfolding composition. You start here, we go here, introduce a new element somewhere along the line, and just do stuff, make music happen anyway.
But that's a hard thing to do. Like what I say is, I have Ableton, and there's 1,000 I could click, what I noticed last night too is, you'll select a portion and loop it, and there are effects, but there's not infinite effects built into that mixer.
No.
And you create, you create generous soundscapes is how I would put it, to the point where one sound continues and then blends into another and then slowly fades out, and then this other one comes in, and you're going, it seems very nonchalant. But that's one of those things, like there's different people who I look up at different reasons, where I go, ooh, that's really cool, I want to do more of that. That's one of those things that I get in, that I say, ooh, those interludes in between are just very nicely done.
So it makes me think, like, my style of playing piano, which only my friends have heard, is holding down the sustain pedal and usually just playing black keys.
Yep.
Because they're always in key.
Always in key.
And you can play anything. And since I'm holding down the sustain pedal, all those sounds overlap and fade off very slowly.
Yeah.
So you can get some very complicated kind of things going on with that, even though you're only playing essentially 5 notes in different octaves. But so I kind of apply that same principle to production, where it's like, I want these sounds to kind of ring out as though they were occupying an actual physical space. A bell hits here and carries across the room or something like that. But and I want these sounds to kind of move around, and especially it's headphone music. If you listen to it in headphones, it does a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I like when the sounds move around your head and do all sorts of wild stuff. And I got Luke familiar. He wasn't. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like the more than melody and harmony and like traditional kind of musical building block elements. I like tone and texture, and it's always kind of been that way. And so I kind of just, once I recognized it was pointed out to me by Donnie Benavidez. Shouts out to Donnie. I just kind of fell into it. I was like, yes, tone and texture. I'm fine with that. Make it sound good and make it feel
feel
good.
nice.
I had the idea years ago that I always think about kind of in the back of my mind when I'm approaching the sound of Sanford Black is like dust on glass.
Oh, I see.
Smooth and clear, but got some noise to it. And so I try to think about that and some other things. The atmosphere, I get pictures in my head of spaces and places. I've written songs about specific spaces and places. that are special to me.
Yeah.
Little adventures and little ideas.
Yeah.
And the whole point being, to kind of make it introspective and kind of reflects the listener back on themselves.
Yeah.
Just through the lens of the music. But also you can break your neck to some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been listening, I listen to a lot of my own productions just to get an idea of it, and I'll bump it in the car. I know my mixes are good when I just want to keep listening to them, and then my rear view mirror is shaking.
Yeah.
I've been trying to master the bass, and I'm getting there, and it does bump, but it'll make you think. Bumps and thinks.
Getting closer to that as well. I still find that just depending on I've yet to master like different sound systems. Sometimes I play at different places, and so I'm kind of like, okay, cool. Like I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh, it sounds fine. But sometimes the way it sounds in certain cars doesn't sound the way it does in the studio or on the it just kind of depends on what's sitting right here in what speakers are there and this stuff. And some of the newer cars that I've listened to my stuff and I'm like, whoa, that kick's not that punchy live.
Well, it has a lot to do with, because I've been in a lot of people's cars that
the bass
don't know how to
crank.
Yeah, they don't know how to tune their radio so much. Yeah. And they got treble to 7 and bass to -3. And I was like, what are you doing?
This doesn't make sense.
This is settings for talk radio. Stop it. He's got a bump.
It's awful. Yeah.
But so that I think that just comes down to the individual's ear and how they perceive the quality of music anyway.
Yeah.
I know from just experience what I expect to hear. If there's good bass tones in there, they should be lifted just enough. It shouldn't be rattling the trunk so much. I think that's kind of silly, but it should be bumping.
Yeah.
And it should be clear, and it should, and so like I said, listening to my own stuff, I know how I want the bass to sound, and so when I get there, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
It's just clean bass, just kind of a pure bass.
One thing that helped me a lot playing at venues was I learned how to mix my bass way down. Not having it so forefront, because especially when you're mixing with headphones, is that bass can feel really good. But then all of a sudden you go and you're like, oh my gosh.
Do you remember there was one day at Backyard on Bell a few months ago where they had the little half stage set up on the patio area?
Yeah.
And I think Zach brought out all 4 subs that afternoon for no reason. And I get up there and I think I was playing some newer stuff, and I was rattling the stage with the bass, and so I just cranked it up because I was like, this is hilarious and kind of silly. I got this light, cute music rattling with super bass, and I was like, I'm just gonna make that a little worse because it was really funny to me. But
oh man, so what is the new album gonna be called?
Cycles.
And so what inspires that name?
Well, a lot of the songwriting, I was thinking about, my life, the homies. Inspired a few songs, and I was on the eve of transition into new life in Indianapolis, and so just thinking about how life moves, and I always think about kind of the distinctive eras of my life, the Denton era just ended, unfortunately, but it's the beginning of the Indianapolis era, and before the Denton era was the Dallas area, and before the Dallas era was I'm still in Dallas. Garland era, yeah. So, there's distinct periods of my life, and I was, like I said, on the dawn of a new one, and just kind of reflecting on all that. And then when I was working on the track list, taking what I had already kind of wrote, the bones of it anyway, and then trying to find a good track order, and how they flowed together. And when I hit it, it kind of created this weird little narrative of the opening track's Mysteries of Light, and it reminded me of just Sunshine, and it's a little beautiful little ditty that opens the album up, and then it goes into a song called Soft Like the Rain. So we're already up in the sky, and then I noticed that the tracks just kind of move down to the earth and then deeper into the earth, and then straight through and back up, and it repeats. So I've thought about the cycles of life and the cycle of nature and just cycles, and I like bicycles.
For sure.
But I also kind of wanted a simplified,
a
simpler name. A simpler title from the last album, which was 33-Year-Old Boy. But that came out of a conversation with YSA one night.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
So I wanted to kind of break it down, but I thought that was a pertinent title, and I think it sums up kind of the message of the album, the narrative of it, especially. And
so, have you found a beat scene in Indianapolis, or
I found one DJ, David Peck.
Okay.
who plays weekly at a bar that I forgot, downtown Indianapolis. He plays lo-fi hip hop. We went to see him just one time a few months ago, and he killed it, man. He was playing like Swarvy and Dilla and all sorts of good stuff.
Nice.
And so me and Angeline were just chilling and enjoying it. And I hit him up on Facebook. I added him as a friend on Facebook. I'm gonna hit him up and try to.
Do you think like
see if
now
I can get in.
now that you've got this job in another space?
And so
Possibly,
I'm in a cooler neighborhood too.
Yeah.
It's an area called Fountain Square. It's a kind of a Deep Ellum kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. You can establish something there.
Yeah, so I'll already be in the neighborhood. There's a I had an interview down there at a record store that was really bar and cafe attached.
Yeah.
It was cool, and so I think being down there, all confidence in myself, the new job, and the new space, and in a neighborhood that's more my speed, at a job that's more my speed, then I can start meeting people that are more my speed.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to try to find a way to bring like the super dope experience to Indy.
Yeah.
So I need to invest in some materials, projector and screen.
Yep.
But I really just want to make a kind of a new media art project as well as a DJ set, just to kind of give people more to do than just watch a dude play music behind a laptop.
Yeah.
And enjoying the video work and
which is what we talked about last night too.
Mm-hmm.
Is the fact that you created this experience.
Yeah, and that's what we did last night with Foliage, was kind of an immersive experience, definitely an immersive experience. When you came into this space and you were occupied.
Pretty much trapped.
That's
why you had to shove the bushes.
Because with the fog machine and everything, you couldn't really see too far in front of you. So it was like being in a dense jungle, and we're just beaming sound at you constantly. Some dude on a microphone yelling at him with excitement.
Yeah,
two dudes yelling at people with excitement.
But it was so loud.
It was.
It was classically loud down there.
Yeah.
It was definitely, it was the loudest that I had ever heard it down there at any of the events that we've done.
But it was still crisp and clear. It didn't hurt.
No, but that's what I don't mean about the sound. I mean the audience.
Oh, yeah.
The audience was the loudest at any of our events that I had heard down there yet,
Yeah, we need to do more pull and double MC duty.
Every time I would go up there, I'd be like, okay, how loud is it going to be? And it just stayed loud. It was really, really cool to see that.
No, it definitely is. But I still think, some crowds need motivation. They need to be told what to do. I was talking to Koki earlier about, he's been trying, when he goes out to inspire people to dance, that he and his friends will start dancing, and then they'll pull people out of their comfort zones. And we were talking about it over lunch today, like how people just want to sit back and be entertained. We're used to that. Most 20, 30-something-year-olds grew up sitting in front of TV doing exactly that, and we still all do it. There is a level of satisfaction there, but when it comes to participation, people get really embarrassed or self-conscious or both.
Yeah, and
they need to be pulled out. So we need to yell at them on microphones. We need to inspire the get up.
Make people feel comfortable.
Yeah,
and I don't. And that was one thing that I always thought was strange, is I don't know when it was cool to not enjoy where you were at.
Yeah, that it needs to end.
And I think
nobody's too cool to have fun.
I've always compared we
exactly
need a new Soul Train that shows hundreds of people dancing on TV while a band is playing, because then people will start to go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do.
It's okay to do that.
And that's why some shows you go and you seek footage of people wilding out. Then you're like, oh, well, that's what I should do. I saw a guy on Reddit one time who posted, who goes, does anyone host lo-fi shows, and what does the crowd do?
Yeah.
And so I responded to that. I was like, yeah, we do it. And I was like, sometimes people are really into it. Sometimes people are chilling. I was like, it just kind of depends on the producer, and the vibes that person's sending across. You might have people dancing, but on a Sunday afternoon,
we chilling.
Yeah, we're chilling. But at night, it's going to be a little bit more, because people feel it in that way. And also, it's not Sunday at noon.
Right.
So it's Monday
yeah.
at 9.
I think people just need to be shown and told that it is okay to participate. Not participating or thinking it's not cool to hate on something, or that it is cool to kind of hate on something, or it's cool to be unenthusiastic about things. It's not.
Yeah.
That needs to end. Being unenthusiastic is canceled by
SB.
SB puts it down.
SB cancels.
If you are not enthusiastic about something, you are not cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've been flabbergasted over the years, taken aback even, that people responded negatively to my genuine enthusiasm. They thought I was shining them on, and we got a problem in our society with our language being coded all the time deceptively.
Yeah.
From doublespeak to sarcasm, there's just all these ways that we say exactly the opposite thing that we intend to. And I think that it gets confused. It has confused a lot of people all the time because nobody knows what's genuine or who's being real or genuinely enthusiastic about anything.
Yeah.
And that's also been cool to be unenthusiastic.
Yeah.
That's not whatever, man.
Being unenthusiastic in an environment where you should be enthusiastic.
Yeah. There is nothing cool about not having fun. Man, you just got to go find your level of fun. Like I said earlier, I don't think festivals are my particular brand of fun, but that doesn't mean they're not fun.
If you like it, go have fun.
And I met a guy. Oh, this is a good example. I met a guy when I was waiting tables at this place in Noblesville, Indiana, recently. He and his dad were following Iron Maiden around on tour.
Really?
I thought that was really. I'm not a fan of Iron Maiden, but I thought that was really cool thing to do. Like that he loves this band so much. His dad loves this band. They have this thing between them that they love enough to follow them on tour dates for around the Midwest. And I found myself really trying to convince him that I actually thought that was a cool thing he was doing. And it became more difficult as the conversation continued because I don't know. He kept looking at me like, "You don't like this. You don't think this is cool." I really do. Just because it's not my thing doesn't mean I don't think it's great for you to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about me. I don't want to make it about me. I just think it's cool you're doing it.
Yeah.
And he played me a song. He was insistent that I listen to something, and I'm open.
Yeah.
And they played me a song, and I felt like I was in a Trans Am, just fucking getting it.
But
driving down the highway.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do
Absolutely,
in that music, though? I thought that was exactly how you're supposed to feel.
But then I said that to him, and I hope he didn't think I was making fun of him. Because I wasn't. That was the feeling it inspired, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But so what I mean to say with all of this is that it can be really sometimes hard and difficult to express genuine enthusiasm for something that even you don't understand.
Yeah.
And I just hope we overcome.
Yeah.
I always try to be 100 with everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell the actual truth of things. Be genuinely enthusiastic, and then try not to be a hater too.
Yeah.
Like just because I don't like it doesn't mean it sucks or it's terrible. Or you should enjoy it.
Yeah,
you can have Christmas and McDonald's and meat, and I don't care. That's all, y'all. Just do it. Don't worry about how I feel about it. Doesn't mean it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't let other people take your joy from you.
Trust me, this man is a contrarian by nature.
Absolutely,
He's admitted himself in many conversations.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean you can't have it and enjoy it. I do not want to take that from anybody just because
and you're not one of those people either who goes out of their way to be like, this was stupid. Anyways.
And I think everything's stupid, but I don't have to talk about it.
So this isn't stupid. When does the album come out?
So that's
tentative.
It's tentative at the moment. So my original debate, I had 10 tracks when I first put the list together. I had a number of concerns, but when I started mixing other songs down, it started sounding really good. There's a theme there that arrived just out of circumstance in the writing process of these songs, and the debate was to either increase the number of songs to 13 or cut them to 9.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to cut them to 9.
Okay.
I've also been seeking this like broad, cohesive musical element to add to him to kind of complete the cycle. Not unlike like Jay Dilla's Donuts album.
Yeah.
You know, it loops back on itself. It starts with the outro, ends with the intro, and then you can play it, and it's a perfect loop.
Yeah.
It's fun listening to it on cassette because it just keeps going.
Yeah.
If you have that kind of cassette player anyway. But I wanted to gel in such a way, and I've been making sure. I've done several versions of the mixes of some of the songs I've mixed down. I've all had multiple versions because I wasn't happy with some of the first drafts, but when I get home, I'm going to start my new job and get into a comfortable spot and then continue to mix down. I think I'm going to stick with 9 tracks, so one's getting cut.
Nice.
And then I'm going to work on some of the so it flows in like a beat ambient kind of thing. So I wanted to keep that tight, but I wanted to gel.
Yeah.
I want it to flow smoothly between the tracks when necessary.
Yeah.
And abruptly when it's not.
Can't rush these things.
So I really want to aim for an October release, which will be a year after 33-Year-Old Boy was released.
Nice.
But I want to do, so I'll probably do like what we did with Foley, or what we did with something. Maybe we didn't do anything with it. I want to do like a soft release in October, so it'll be available.
Yeah, we didn't have a soft release at all.
No, we had talked about it, but we didn't. So yeah, soft release on digital platforms in October, and then we started talking about this just last night, and I brought it up again today. And it really depends on circumstances and if I can do this. But I would like to take a day in December and do a show.
Yeah.
Have a immersive basement experience at J&J's or wherever, depending on the day. Be cool. Harvest House host would be cool. Backyard host. It'd be cool if any of those spots that have supported us over the years would host. Monk, I don't know. But to do a show, play the album.
There's always space.
Have a thing. I'd love to get all the boys to play, and then just kind of highlight the album. And we'll definitely do a complete video production for the album. I'll release that on YouTube or something.
There we go. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
So I got big plans.
Yeah.
Give it a couple months. I still need to do the mixes, and I still need to add and subtract some things from the thing. But I think Cycles
as it
will come
always
out.
goes.
Yeah,
as it always.
But
goes.
I need to not labor it. Like Breezy gave me some good advice a few months ago. Was just don't listen to them till you hate them.
Yeah.
Don't listen to these songs until you hate them.
Yeah.
But on the opposite side, I've been listening to a lot of these songs I've written for the last 3 or 4 months, and I just like them more as they go along. And I feel like I've done some of my best work to date with these songs. And
there you go.
So I'm excited, and I want y'all to be excited.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we are excited, man.
Good.
You know I am. I'm just glad you're back.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sanford Black, ladies and gentlemen, on the show right now, hanging out. We had him tonight on Sound Values on DentonRadio.com. It's been a lovely conversation, my man. So
yes,
it's great to have one of the original Breakfast Boys back here.
So happy to be
hanging out and doing the thing.
Yeah.
So
shout out to my lovely Angeline.
Yeah, all the way up there in
all
Indianapolis. Yeah, so y'all make sure to tune in next week, and of course tune in on Sunday we've got the Sunday brunch, and we also have the revamp happening.
Oh yes, we do.
Sanford's got a show on Wednesday for the Harvest House Comedy Show.
Come out
then
for
we
that.
have Super Dope on Thursday.
Return of the Super Dope. Harvest
Super Dope.
House.
And then we
9
have
PM,
Breakfast and Beats on Thursday.
With the revamp.
Or on Sunday.
Sunday.
With the revamp. So plenty of times to come catch some good tunes.
Yes, come get you some SB.
Yeah, man.
For your life.
All right. Well,
Hell
I
yeah.
tell you what. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, of course.
And, we will see y'all next time right here on DentonRadio.com. Everybody, peace.
Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton. Do you love live music? If so, make Denton, Texas your next vacation. Find more information at discoverdenton.com.